Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon Associates advertising and affiliate site for sale in the survival and security niche. Created in March 2017, this business makes $7,192 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the business is 46255. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Dan, thank you for coming on here today. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to dive into this business with you and talk about it. But before we get to the questions that I have for you, I want to go ahead and run through a little quick summary of the business. Again, it was built in March of 2017, has a monthly revenue of $7,267, expenses of $76 to make for a net profit of $7,192, which is generated on an 11-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the domain and all site content and files, email list, and templates. Dan, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So this is my probably second big authority site project that I've ever built. The first one was in the health space. It was an affiliate site, and I sold that on Empire Flippers a couple of years ago. Prior to that, I worked for a marketing agency and I did marketing services, and then slowly transitioned into freelance marketing and SEO services for clients. And I've been building affiliate websites sort of on the side for a few years. And in the past 3 years, I've really doubled down on this as my full-time business and source of income.
So seeing that it's been the main source of income for you and you've been spending your time on it, why have you decided to sell the business today?
Well, the business is the product of a partnership with another SEO affiliate, and we have a portfolio of websites that we are growing in the software vertical. And so we launched these about a year and change after launching this particular website, and the ceiling on those is just significantly higher than this one. And so we want to focus our efforts there. Now, I think in terms of the businesses we built, this is actually probably the most successful one we've done in terms of the ROI on our time and energy. But we bootstrap every new site that we build with our own money. So we're taking the capital to reinvest it in new projects.
So you mentioned that this business is the primary source of income for you and it's where you're spending your time. So what does it take from you, the owner or one of the owners of this business, to maintain it?
Well, so as I mentioned, we have 5 other quote unquote authority sites that we're building. This site is quite hands off. We have one Filipino VA who helps set up a bi-weekly deals email. And that same VA works with a syndication partner, a content syndication partner, which is basically another website that covers and publishes sort of military and gun related news. And we take content from that site and share it on our site with credit back to them. And they take some of our content and share it on their site. And there's a pretty strong website. So from that syndication, we pretty much get most of our content and most of our links. So we don't really do any active publishing ourselves. Most of the content comes from them or inbound guest post requests or PR requests. And we don't really do much hands-on stuff at all, really. I'd say probably the VA spends on average about an hour or 2 per week setting up and publishing these drafts and then scheduling the email.
Can you explain the history of this site? I'm pretty sure from what I know about it that the domain was being used as a news site or something like that before you took it over as an affiliate site. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And we still publish news through that syndication partner. And when we first started, we were publishing news as well in the survival, security, and gun space. So the actual site was formerly a nationally recognized magazine in its industry. And the owners, I think, let it go about 10 years ago. And so repurposed the domain sort of along the same vein as a news media brand on the front end with a lot of affiliate content on the back end. And the nice part about this is that for the purposes of doing any sort of online marketing or the purposes of reaching out to other sites with any sort of, business arrangement, be it guest posting or link building or PR requests or whatever, the site comes across as a brand, not just an affiliate website, not just like a very commercialized type of affiliate website. So we've sort of kept that feature of the site in that it is a brand, not just sort of a sniper affiliate site.
You mentioned the weekly deals of the week email that the VA composes and sends out. Is the email list your primary source of traffic?
The primary source of traffic is organic SEO Google traffic. So I'd say probably about, I think it's 75 to 80% of the traffic comes from Google. We have a pretty active list. I think the engagement is about 25 to 30%, which so we had been aggressively sending out emails once or twice a week, but we stopped about, 4 months ago, and now we just do it biweekly. We regularly clean the list for non-openers probably once a month. And so for just sending out commercial emails, just deals, that's actually a pretty high open rate. But it's not a huge source of traffic. And I feel that, I know we'll touch on it in a sec, but I feel like that's an opportunity for any potential buyer is to monetize the list a bit better.
So let's kind of run with that. If you feel like there's such an opportunity here with the email list, why haven't you worked to monetize it previously?
Well, we had myself and the other partner were taking turns sort of writing the deals. And since we outsourced it to the VA, we just haven't focused on it as much. And we know that there's a lot of offers in the space. There's a few big competitors who are promoting gun-related memberships and gun-related offers and survival products and survival offers. But we haven't dedicated the time to sort of split testing the offers and emails or segmenting the list at all. So it just really came down to a time issue.
In addition to the email marketing, do you feel like there are any major opportunities for growth here that you would take advantage of if you were to keep the business?
So one thing that, we're sort of on the fence about listing it, and the one thing we would push really hard on, and we're sort of debating actually right now, we probably will, is having our VA spend a considerable amount of time trying to onboard display advertisers. Because in this particular space, it's very difficult to advertise and get PR because of the issues surrounding guns and gun regulation in the US. Online platforms like Facebook and AdWords have slowly cut off survival advertisers, anyone who has anything related to guns or firearms. So it's really difficult for vendors in the space and vendors of whether it's guns or gun accessories or survival products to find high quality media online. And we have had in the past, we've worked with a few sites who have bought ad placements, but we've really just put advertisers on the site who we've gotten inbound requests from. So if we get an email saying, hey, I'd like to advertise, we say, okay, we just kind of make up what we think would be fair rates and negotiate from there. But I think a new buyer would be smart to put together a media kit, sort of a rate card, and actually go after different vendors because a lot of them are looking to advertise.
So do you feel like that is a risk for someone entering this niche, that there is controversy surrounding the niche?
Yes and no. I mean, if you look at the numbers, anytime there is the threat of regulation, or, it's quite unfortunate, but anytime there's any sort of incident, whether it's a shooting or, concern about somebody getting caught with a firearm in a situation where they shouldn't have one, sales and traffic tend to go up pretty significantly. So again, that's not something you should rely on, but from a risk perspective, that fear element tends to actually be better for business. And so it's actually something we've thought a lot about, but it seems, at least in the US, which is pretty much where all our traffic comes from, it actually works in our favor when these kind of things do make the news. Anything around firearms, we see a noticeable jump in traffic.
You mentioned that your traffic primarily comes from the US. Do you feel like there is any sort of market for this niche outside of the US? Would you target other countries?
No, I don't think I would. The structure of the site, you could probably make a push towards Canada, but that's not going to help you really get too much more traffic, because I think Google's good at sharing American keyword and content with Canadian audiences searching from Canada. On top of that, a lot of the products that are sold on Amazon and third-party vendors are mostly American, and they've gone to certain lengths to make sure that their selling practices and marketing practices abide by American laws. So when you add in trying to distribute content and promotional content to other countries, I think that really opens up a can of worms. On top of that, the content and the audience that it's written for is catered towards Americans, plain and simple. Now, I would add a follow-up on that. When we first wrote the site, this may have been our own stereotype sort of creeping through, but we wrote a lot of the content trying to appeal to what we thought were sort of hardcore gun enthusiasts. Maybe you could even call them gun nuts, to put it bluntly. But it turns out that a large and growing segment of gun owners in the United States are not just ultra conservative gun people. There are those for sure, but there's this massive emerging demographic called gun culture 2.0. And what these are basically, it's the Henry demographic, which is like sort of like early millennials, maybe around their late 20s, early to mid 30s, who are usually single or living a sort of a single bachelor lifestyle, and they have a lot of disposable income and no family to care for, and they like to have things to play with. So they're really big on buying the latest tech, but they also like guns. They like to play with guns. So it's not just right wing. There's also people on the left as well in the US who are starting to look into gun ownership. So that was an interesting discovery for us when we were building the site.
And you've clearly been very successful with the site. I mean, the overall trend is upwards here. So if someone came to you and said, hey, Dan, you've managed to be very successful in this controversial niche here in the US, and I kind of want to follow in your footsteps, what would be your biggest piece of advice for them?
Well, I would say that if they were trying to follow in our footsteps and build on what we've done, probably the best piece of advice I could give is that you're not going to sell a lot of guns as an affiliate, plain and simple. I think you need to build up a lot of trust, and that could be done through email, through branding, before you recommend actual firearms as an affiliate. However, there is a huge opportunity with a traffic play and display advertising around gun terms. But as an affiliate, the key is combining gun accessories and survival accessories as part of that greater strategy. So that's sort of what the site morphed into. We're pretty talented when it comes to SEO and content marketing, and we spent a lot of time trying to rank for specific gun terms because we did the math and we said, okay, well, the guns are selling, let's say this gun sells for, a particular gun sells for $1,000 online. If we rank number one for that gun keyword, then even a small number of sales, the site will be making, that keyword alone could be making $20,000 or $30,000 a month. But we rank for those keywords, and it turns out nobody goes online, searches best whatever gun, and then immediately buys it. Whether it be that because of its state laws or because they don't want to buy a gun online shipped to their door, we're not entirely sure. But what we do see is other big gun news and content sites crushing it by ranking for a lot of gun-related keywords, but not as affiliates. But then also what they're doing is they're ranking for a lot of the accessories. So holsters and slings and boots and targets and stuff like that, where you can still make a lot of money as an affiliate. So I would say for anyone entering the space or trying to build on this, that it's important to bifurcate the strategy and go after news and traffic, but also continuing to sort of go after the entire gun survival related keyword universe.
Yeah, and it's certainly pretty interesting. I think it makes sense. A lot of times, different states, different cities have certain restrictions, and maybe people aren't buying firearms online like you suggested there. So definitely an interesting perspective there. Would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, absolutely.
And how much support are you willing to offer a new owner during the transition period?
We could do a month of Skype calls, be fine.
Are you open to negotiating on something like an earnout?
It's not in our interest because we do have a wave of new sites we're launching. So we would prefer to take a lump sum, but we're open to it depending on the terms.
Dan, thank you very much for taking the time with me today. I've really enjoyed having you on, but before I let you go, I have one final question. If you're looking at this business from the perspective of a potential buyer, why would you feel like it is an asset worth buying?
Absentee ownership. We don't do anything, and then the site's growing. So we're having reservations about selling it. And that's not me just saying that for the purpose of this call. We actually are considering holding on to it. So even a somewhat capable operator, then I think this is a good source of passive income for them.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned, the overall trend for the site is upwards. So Dan, thank you very much for taking the time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the call.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing page and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you. You'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.